All right, another day of multiplication. So today we're going to talk about two words. We are going to talk about rows and columns today. They go along with an array, which we've actually talked about throughout the week. An array is that really nice looking picture where all of your dots or all of your stars are organized and they look nice and neat. And everybody has a partner, or there's an equal amount in the rows or the columns. And those are the two words that we need to define today to help you understand the lesson. The first one is rows. Well, I grabbed a couple of micro machines and they are boats, because whenever I think of rows, row your boat, I go across the sea. Okay, so rows go from left to right. Whenever you hear the word row, you are going to organize from left to right. Okay, this is a row. Now I'm going to take you to my porch and I'm going to show you a column. A column goes up and down and it holds up like a building or like the roof of something. So we're going to scoot out here and I'm going to show you the columns on the porch. You can see the wood column right here? That's holding up the roof, okay? You can actually even see down here like all of those little slats. Those are part of our porch. Those are holding up and they are going up and down, okay? So that column, that big long piece, that is a column and it goes up and down, okay? And it's holding up the ceiling. You can probably even hear the goats out there. But that is a column up and down. The rows are like a boat going left to right. So I want you to remember those two things. It's very important, muy importante, that you know those two words today, okay? So back to rows. Remember my little boat, rows side to side, okay? We went on a little field trip. We took a peek at the columns holding up the roof of the porch. If you look behind me on here, do you see those lines going up and down on the wood? Those are like columns, okay? Well, I drew a couple pictures on my marker board to kind of take a peek. Now, they're not organized as an array. It is going to be our job today to make them an array. So the first one I have is like a group of stars. So I drew my stars and they are not organized. They're just kind of all over the place. Then I drew some lines. You'll notice I did draw rows here for my boat to go from left to right, okay? And I did draw columns going up and down, like behind me how the wood is going up and down, okay? So I'm going to take these stars. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many total stars I have. That's always important to count your total first so that you know what you're working with, okay? So I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stars. So I'm going to put a 6 up here so I don't forget that there are 6. Now I am going to organize these into 2 rows. Do you see how I drew 2 lines, 2 rows, okay? Now I could organize and break these into groups so that I could see them. If I need 2 equal rows of the total 6, then I need to figure out, how many are going to go in each row? That's where I could come over here and circle so that I have an even amount, and I'm just splitting them really in half, going back to those fractions. Or if you're like, Mrs. Bell, I can't see that, I don't know what you're doing, here's another way that you could do it. Do you remember how we distributed and we were like moving those oranges on one of the worksheets where we gave one to this person and one to this person? We could do that here too, okay? I have a total of 6. So here are my rows, okay? And I'm going to put 1 star here. And remember, I could cross it off, okay? Then I'm going to give 1 star. Look at, I stacked them so they're nice and neat. This is a row though, okay? And then I'm going to come here, here. Look at, I'm keeping them all nice and neat. Did I forget to pat? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oops, I forgot to cross one off. Sorry, I was going too fast. Okay, now this right here. This is 2 rows of 3. There's an equal amount in my rows. Rows go side to side. Here's a row, and here's a row. 2 rows of 3. Now I'm going to take this same thing. I'm actually going to turn it. Watch my marker board. Do you see my stars? I'm actually going to create columns. Columns go up and down, okay? But I just drew it right here. I'm doing the same thing. I have two columns. Can you see that I have a column right here and a column right here? I'm going to split up my 6 stars so that I have 2 columns. Well, because I already did it here, I know that I have to have 3 in each. Because watch, here's my rows. They're going side to side. All my columns are doing is flipping them up and down, okay? So I'm going to draw that right here. So I'm going to put 3 in this column, and I'm going to put 3 in this column, and then I have 2 columns with 3 in each. This was 2 rows, okay, with 3 in each. Do you see the difference? One's going left to right, and one's going up and down. Let's try again. So this time I have hearts, okay? I scattered them all about. They are not an array. An array is organized and nice and neat, okay? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to count my hearts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to put that magic number up here, 8. I have 8 hearts. Now I look over here and I have to count how many rows I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to take these 8 and I have to organize them nice and neat on these 4 rows, okay? So I'm going to take a heart and I'm going to give one to this guy. Cross them off. Row 2. Row 3, look at, I'm stacking them nice and neat. Row 4, then I'm going to go. Rows go across, so I'm going to add another one. Keeping it all organized. Now look, my rows. There are 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. And how many are in each row? 2. 2, 2, 2. And that's 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Now I'm going to take it and turn it into columns. Columns go up and down, okay? So you can see I have a column here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, like behind me, the wood's going up and down. That's a column. Now watch my hearts. Now my hearts are going to turn on their side and they're going to look a little goofy. But remember, this was rows going left to right. My columns just turn and go up and down. So I am going to place 2 in each of those columns. Okay, let's see if we can do it. So here's my column. I'm going to put 2 in this one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Again, do you notice that I'm keeping them nice and neat? There's my 4 columns with 2 in each. Okay, these are just turnaround facts, really, is what this ends up being. They're the same answer, just drawn in a different way. Okay, one more example with happy faces this time. Okay, so here's my smiley faces. They're scattered all about. This is not an array. When I plug them into here, into my rows and my columns, then I have created an array. Okay, let's count how many smiley faces we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 total smiley faces. Now if you look, I have drawn 2 rows. That means I have to split these into 2 rows. Some of you have caught on to this and you don't need to cross them off any longer. If you took 10 and you cut it in half, the 2 equal halves, each person would have how many? You're right, 5, because 5 plus 5 is 10. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to draw 5 happy faces here, and I'm going to draw 5 happy faces here. That's my 2 rows of 5, okay? So I'll draw my happy faces, and I'm just going to make circles to make it so it goes a little faster. There's my 2 rows of 5. Now down here, look what I have. I have 2 columns. 2 columns. I have to split up these 10, and we know 5 plus 5 is 10. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first column, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the second column. Okay, so that's 2 columns of 5. This is 2 rows of 5. Rows, your boat goes side to side. Columns, up and down. Okay, let's take a look at your problem set and see how you do with this. Again, they are not organized. Your triangles are all jumbled up. Your happy faces are all jumbled up. Okay, so are your hearts. So let's see if you can unjumble them and either make rows here, columns here. Okay, it says in this first one, let's count how many triangles we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 triangles. I am supposed to split these into 2 rows. Okay, so I have my 2 rows right here. How many would you have to put in each row to split up these 8 triangles? Well, what is half of 8? You're right, 4. Now, if you weren't sure, could you have taken a triangle, drawn one here, cross it off? Drawn the other one below it in the next row, cross it off. Yes, you could have done it that way. You will end up drawing your 4 triangles here and your 4 triangles here. And then it will look like an array. Make sure you stack them up neatly, okay? Now it says circle groups of 2. We did that back on day 11, okay? So take a peek at your little happy faces. Circle groups of 2 real quick, okay? Then it says redraw the groups of 2 as rows and then as columns. So take a look here. Did you end up making 3 groups of your smiley faces? I think you did. Then you got it right because I see 3 rows right here. Okay, so let's take our smiley faces, and you know how you have them in groups? Go ahead and draw your 2 smiley faces, 2 smiley faces, 2 smiley faces. Then you have 3 rows of 2, and it's matching what you had right there. Okay, now I see 2 columns here. 2 columns. If I only have 2 spots, I wonder how many smiley faces I could squeeze in there. If you look, remember you had 3 groups of 2. Now I'm turning it around and I'm saying 2 groups of 3. You're right. So draw your 3 happy faces here and your 3 happy faces here. Then you have 2 columns of 3. Okay? Take a peek at your hearts. First thing you want to do is you want to count up how many hearts you have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 hearts here. So I would put that magic number down here so that you don't forget. Now it says circle groups of 3. Now take your hearts. Circle little groups of 3. Redraw the groups of 3 as rows and then as columns. Okay, so here we go. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Now you circled groups of 3, right? So start drawing your groups of 3 in your rows and then do your same in your columns, okay? See if you can figure it out. Now over here on number 4, it says count the objects in the arrays from left to right by rows and by columns. As you count, circle the rows and then the columns. This is what I would do with you. If we were in class right now, I would ask you to get 2 different colors. So if you have your crayons right there or colored pencils, grab 2 of your favorite colors. I want you to circle the rows with 1 color, and I want you to circle the columns with the other. Remember, rows are row your boat, side to side. Columns are on the porch and they go up and down, so 2 different colors. So if I were using my markers right now with Eli's paper, I would take these groups of circles and I would be circling rows with 1 color, and I would be circling the columns with the other. Your paper is probably matching mine right now. You probably have all of your groups, all of your rows circled. Now columns go up and down, so I'm going to go like this. Column, column. I want you to start by doing that with your two different colors. When I check your packets, the colors will help me to see that you knew rows and columns, okay? Colors help. Do the same thing with your stars, okay? Now it says, redraw the circles and stars in problem 4, these right here, as columns of 2. Columns of 2. So if I were you, I would take my paper first, draw a line right here. This can be the section that you do your circles in. This can be the section that you do your stars in. Okay, just so that you can see. Now it says columns of 2. That means you need to take circles and go 2 stacked up, 2 stacked up, 2 stacked up until you've drawn all of those circles. Same thing with your stars. You take your stars and you're going to draw 2 stacked up, 2 stacked up, and you keep going till you've drawn all your stars, okay? They're stacking up. They're supposed to go up and down. So go 2, 2, okay? Pretend like my markers are my columns. You're going to have 2 stars, 2 stars. Keep going till you draw them all. Or 2 circles, okay? Then you hop down to number 6. Draw an array with 15 triangles. 15 triangles. You have to do some thinking first. You have to have 15. And you have to draw an array, which means you need to have rows and columns. I want you to take that 15 and I want you to start thinking, how could you split this up? How could you organize it? And I want you to give me, maybe you have to try a couple times. That's okay. It's you brainstorming and thinking. You are trying to figure it out right now. Take 15 triangles. You may even want to find 15 crayons, or 15 pieces of candy, or 15 Cheerios, whatever it is. Take it on your table right now, and I want you to organize. Can you make equal amounts of rows or columns, okay? Now, when I say equal, you have to have the same amount in each row or each column, and it has to be perfect, okay? There are a couple different ways, few different ways that you could actually do this. So more than one way is possible to do this, okay? But make sure you can't have anything like this. Let me show you real quick. Let's say I had 6, okay? Let's say I had 6 triangles and I went like this. This is a no-no, okay? You cannot have 2 in this row and then 4 in this row. They have to be equal. So be careful. I want you to try that. And you can show me more than one way. If you figured out a bunch of different ways, draw them all. I want to see your thinking. Then it says show a different way. Well, there's your other way. Show me another way. But there are several different ways you can do this. So you can surprise me and show me the different ways that you came up with. But it'll probably be easier to build it on your table with crayons or, like I said, Cheerios or crackers or whatever you want before you actually draw it. All right, kiddos. Rows and arrays were the lesson for today. And my WQLN video is about rows and columns and arrays. So you will get to hear that lesson too if you're watching WQLN or on YouTube. All right, we'll talk to you soon.